Okay, so we know what we want because we have our design documents. So now we're going to a manufacturer to create the product itself. And how do you find a manufacturer? Well, there are three main approaches that I take. The first one is to go to a trade show where there are several manufacturers that produce similar products than yours. A very, very famous one is the Canton Fair, which takes place every year. And these trade shows, you can immediately talk to the manufacturers and maybe even show your design and discuss what they can do for you. Another way that you can find manufacturers is to go to Alibaba.com, and there you can enter in the search box similar products than yours, and you will probably see products popping up, and then you can contact the manufacturers that you see. And the final approach, which is actually my favorite, is to work with the sourcing agents. And you can find these just by Googling or on Facebook. And the sourcing agents often have contact with several manufacturers. So when you go to them with specific products, they know who they should contact because they are working in this field for several years. So they can say, "Oh, you should work with this one for with this manufacturer for this product," or "No, go with that manufacturer." It's also possible to find these agents on Upwork, our favorite platform that we discussed earlier on. So these sourcing agents are really a gift from heaven because they can filter through the muck and give you a list or two or three of the best manufacturers, and then you can just go through them yourself. What do I do to review the manufacturers? Well, I find out if they have the certificates. For example, if you want to import to Europe, a manufacturer needs to be able to produce according to these standards, and they should be able to make sure that you have a CE certificate. So you have to discuss this with your manufacturer and make sure that they have the appropriate certificates for the products that you want to import in your location. It's also important to note that not all companies on Alibaba are manufacturers, but some of them are middlemen. So try to find out and talk to them to make sure that you're dealing with a manufacturer and not with a middleman. Also try to make sure that the manufacturer is excited to work with me. For example, if it takes them 1 day or even 2 days to reply to a question, it's going to be very difficult to work together. So I often use WeChat to talk to a manufacturer, and if they don't answer in a few hours, I'm just moving on because and this type of business you have to work closely together, and if they're slow to respond, it's just not going to happen. So you should install WeChat and ask their WeChat number and move from there. This is quite similar to WhatsApp or another chatting application that you're used to. So it's very convenient to use and will allow you to move a lot faster than going by email or using the Alibaba platform or whatever. It's also important that the manufacturer has some references. For example, do they have clients that's quite similar to you in your location? This will show you that they're quite big manufacturer and that they have the expertise that is needed. For example, you can work with a company that also works for Walmart or another big company. It's important to note that some companies have minimum order quantities, and this means that they only want to work with you if you order, for example, 1,000 units or 10,000 units, and so on. So this is important to note because, especially the first batch, you don't want to order too many units, as you're never sure. It's still possible that the product doesn't work. So try to find a company that's flexible, that wants to work with you and iterates on the products. And they're also